Yeah. Jimmy. Lights, camera, action. Some people thought I quit and I ain't giving satisfaction. From a different era, writing rhymes up on napkins. What you had to say was more important, man, than trapping. Yeah, I'm talking back then.
You're listening to WPEB Radio, 88.1 FM, 95.1 FM, West Philadelphia. Family, welcome to Jimmy Bond's podcast on WPEB Radio, 88.1 FM, 95.1 FM. Ty, go ahead, do your thing, man. Do our PSA for us, brother.
All right, you got it. Philadelphia Community Bail Fund. Philadelphia Community Bail Fund works to end cash bail and pretrial detention in our city. Until that day, we post bail for our neighbors who cannot afford to pay. You can make a referral by filling out the form below or calling 267-225-6047. Please give us much information as you can. Please give us much information as you can about the person you are referring, including their full name, both date and PP number. I'm not sure what a PP number is. Pension plan, prison plan.
I'm just trying to say this whole the advertisement is bond, right? Like we're talking about bonds, like getting people out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, share your contact information so that we can reach out. Once again, that number is 267-225-6047. Go to www.phillybailout.org to learn more. This has been a public service announcement from 88.1 WPEB, West Philadelphia's community radio. Back to you, JB.
Back to me, JB. That's me. JB, Jimmy Bonds. My boy Ty, my boy Terrance Henry. Make sure you go check out the Terrance Henry Experience on all your podcast platforms, particularly Apple and Spotify. Go check him out, man. Go do it. He got his thing. He got over 100 episodes. He is phenomenal at what he does, family. I guarantee you that. My man is killing it. He's doing his thing. I appreciate everybody for listening in. Jimmy Bond's podcast, 88.1 FM. Our last hour we discussed if you were mayor of Philadelphia, what would you do? Mm-hmm. That was kind of dope. Yeah. But on this hour, I thought this would be fitting, particularly having my boy Terrance on. We're going to talk about, so everybody got a podcast, huh?
Yeah, everybody got a podcast.
Everybody got a podcast. Do you know the numbers?
No, what's the numbers?
You don't know the numbers? Everybody got a podcast.
The content creators,
Listen, man, it's a lot of them out there. So here it is. So today, globally, there are 5 million podcasts.
Oh, my goodness. You joking, man.
70 million episodes between them all. That's including mine. That's that's our 60 that me and Ty have, and the over 100 that you have, right? You got me?
You said, wait a minute. Say that number one more time.
All right, so I'm reading it again.
Podcasts we got?
5 million podcasts globally. 5 million. And of that 5 million, there's 70 million episodes. All right? Of listeners, there are 465 million podcast listeners globally. By 2024, that number will be 505 million listeners of podcasts globally.
That's a lot of podcasts, man.
I keep going. Spotify and Apple are the 2 biggest podcast streaming platforms. Those are the ones everybody goes to when it's time to listen to podcasts. You want to listen to podcasts, you go to those. Yeah. In the U.S., there are 100 million active podcast listeners in the U.S. by itself. 1/3 of the U.S. population listens to podcasts. 1/3. Okay? 70% of those listening to podcasts, they download via Apple. Yeah. Right? Uh-huh. From the downloads, 50% of the listeners, which is the majority of stake of the listeners, are between the ages of 12 and 34. Okay? Now, me and you always talked about the video aspect. Ty talked about the video aspect, too. Video, yeah. You think video is what's popping right now. That's what everybody do, right? They do video.
Right, everybody do video.
They do video, right? That's what you're saying, right? Okay, here go the numbers. Only 17% of podcasts are video.
Really?
Only 17% of podcasts are video.
So my audio thing, I guess, I don't know.
So, I mean, everybody talking. And look, and only 10% go live. We live right now. You live and I'm live. Yeah. So, there you go. We're part of that 10%. Yeah. But only 10% go live. So that says something right there. Yeah. Right? Let's keep going. Let's go a little bit further. So people also don't know how the genres of the podcast, how they're broken down. So you can go from, you have genres of comedy, society and culture, health and fitness, entertainment and education. Mm-hmm. Right? But the top 5 podcasts are this: comedy, true crime, society and culture, health and fitness, and business. That's how it's broken down. Mm-hmm. And we're going to end this out. Do you know who the number one podcaster is in the world? You know him. Do you know him?
Yeah.
Who do you think it is?
Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Joe
the
Rogan.
number one podcast in the world, has 11 million listeners for each episode that he drops.
Yep.
Okay? So, everybody got a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got a podcast. What do you think about that? Being a podcaster yourself, what do you think about everybody having a podcast?
Being a podcast before a podcast, like actually, like really doing it.
Yeah,
And
I mean, really, because people don't know the backstage of the podcast. They just know what's in the front.
They
so
just see it in the front, but see, it goes back, man. It's an art. Media is an art.
It is.
It's a true expression to who you is and your reality and your world. You know, that's what it is. I think that people make it cliche-ish now. You know, like it's like a fad or something. Like it's just like this thing. Like people just want to do it because it's a cash cow. Or I can display this like weird personality, even though it's not who you are, because you can't accept yourself or be vulnerable to what you like to do.
Right.
You know, and it takes a really strong individual to come up here for a lot of different of it, media. I mean, let's say you do sports, or you're an analyst, or you do something like, well, you hear something in the background. Yeah, I hear it too.
Who wasn't joining partying? We got somebody partying in the studio tonight. Hold on, family. Go ahead, Ty. Go ahead, bro. You good?
That music can play. It's cool. You know what I'm saying? But what I say is that, you know why they doing it? Because they know what I'm speaking to.
Yeah, no, that's why you got to keep talking.
No, man, but what I'm saying is that in society, man, it's like it's so many of them, but everybody just want to do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've been, you know what's so funny, Ty?
Yeah.
I've been doing this since I was 11.
What got you started in the podcasting?
You know what's funny? I tell everybody this story, right? I had a Talkboy recorder, the Home Alone one.
Okay.
You remember that one?
I remember.
In New York, and he had that. Well, my grandma bought me that for Christmas. Right, I had this boom box, right? This boom box sitting. She bought me this boom box, and I had this recorder. Mm-hmm. So you know what we do? We kids, we improvise. We start our minds, our imagination, right? So I took the recording. It's right over there.
Right.
It's right over there. Nah. Mm-hmm.
Little technical difficulty right here. We're getting it straightened out.
It's going up. Well, I thought it was going.
Yeah. All right, there we go.
You got it? Okay.
There
you
we
got
go.
it. All right, so let me just put this narrative. I want to bring it, condense it, but you know, I just think that a lot of people just do it because it's a fad and it's kind of like a thing. But to the real podcasters out there, to the ones that's really passionate, do it. And you know what's crazy? A long time ago, you had to go to communication school. You had to be an intern. I went through all of that. You know what I mean? I didn't have to go to the school thing. Luckily, I got in radio because it was my purpose, God given. But it's like, when you in there, you want to be a part of this, yo. Like, you got to go through steps. You got to earn something. Now everything is not being earned to get like here. You know what I'm saying?
But what did you say? What did you say in the last segment?
What's that?
It's a microwave age.
Yeah, it's the microwave age.
People want it right now. If I can have it right now, then I don't want it.
But listen to the thing. People don't even know, man. I've been doing this since a kid, man. Like, you know what I mean? I was telling Ty, man, like I had a talk boy in a boombox. I used to go in and out of music with the damn talk boy. It's like I was on the radio.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You find your purpose. You know what it is, man. So it's like when people go and genuinely go on that this microphone, they go on their camera and they talking about something, be real and be passionate. Don't sell me on nothing that I should hear, or you think I should just feel this good what you're saying. Really mean it. Like, just don't say words to be politically correct. You got to say how you feel when you mess up or when you're doing this. Because we're all people. We're all human at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know
I mean, but I have to agree with you there. Like, people, I think people in the podcasting industry, at least in our community, they, it's about quick clips. And how can I get more people to pay attention to these quick clips? You know what I mean?
Like that.
And the thing I always say is not everybody needs to be a podcaster. Just like everybody don't need to be a rapper. For me, the way I look at it is we have just as many podcasters as people got mixtapes. So just most time you be like, everybody got a mixtape, now everybody got a podcast. So it just make you feel like why am I even doing this? You know what I'm saying?
It's getting to the point now, man. It's just like they get in front of that microphone and they just go crazy, yo.
Bro, this microphone is power.
And that's the thing. Everybody shouldn't have it.
Right. It's a responsibility. it's not just oh well, let me just get on here and talk ratchet or talk whatever and really go at it. Like,
yeah, man, I love this right here, man. I love this. I just love what I do, man. I love it, man. I'm going to do this to the day I can. I told somebody the other day, you know what I told him? You know what I told him?
What you tell him?
I said, man, my voice would be forever heard when I'm here and when I'm gone.
No, but that's the most important thing about it.
That's why it's important to say, you know what I mean? Like,
this is etched in stone, bro.
Yeah. You record yourself in stone. I'm just saying, if you got kids out there, you want to be remembered in the good light. You can't be on the internet acting crazy and your kids look at that. People don't understand that. That's why I say, man, you'll conduct yourself right. You know what I mean? Like, you always
gotta conduct yourself
do that.
right.
Like, I got an image to uphold. I'm not gonna sit up there and be on the camera acting crazy, and my daughter see me that. She see me one way and then acting wild in another. Like, nah, man.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, more than anything else, man. It's all right. We back live. Ty, you back with us, boy? All good in the neighborhood.
Somebody was
we had a little technical difficulty. Somebody didn't like what we had to say.
No. Somebody commented said about the voicemail.
What'd they say?
Like, remember back in the day when people used to act like they was leaving, like you picked up the phone, but that wasn't really them, and they said leave a message or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Until you get in trouble.
Hello,
yeah.
Hello. I'm just playing with you. I'll leave a message.
Yo,
but listen, man.
I remember when people used to like do voicemails, man. Like, that shit stuff be dope.
Yeah.
I caught myself.
Yeah, that's good. That stuff. But now listen, man, we're gonna come right back to it. So family, we had a little technical difficulties. We right back. Jimmy Bond's podcast. WPEB 88.1 FM, 95.1 FM. We are right back at it. We're discussing the topic of everybody got a podcast.
Everybody got a podcast.
Everybody got a podcast. So
my dog got a podcast.
Seriously, no. Some dogs do have podcasts. But I mean, the amount of podcasts out there is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And not that. What I'm not trying to do is do that thing where people got podcasts and you thinking I'm knocking or I'm hating. I'm not doing none of that.
Hating.
I'm not doing none of that because if you have a podcast, not that if it's good or whatever, if you love what you do, then keep doing it. Right. That's the way I feel about it. If you love what you do, keep doing it. Even if in some cases people might not be good at it, but they gonna keep doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Keep doing it, man.
So if you love what you do, keep doing it. Right. But at the same time, I'm saying to myself, like, man, how you gonna compete with all them podcasts? How do you compete with 5 million podcasts out there?
I don't even worry about none of that. Because guess what? It's a lot of everybody's going to match somebody's personality.
Yeah.
You just got a bigger bandwidth to do it.
Yeah.
So depending on how your personality, your charisma is, who you is as a person, and people can adapt to it, they're gonna always follow the truth.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like it don't even matter what their number is. Numbers 5 million, 10, it don't matter. Somebody see you and another person to see you, and that 5 million, out of those 5 million, they can have another favorite or 3 more podcasts they can like.
They can.
You know what I mean? They're not just subjective, just the one podcast. It's enough for everybody.
It is.
Like,
it is enough for everybody.
How many artists do you like?
I got an infinite amount of artists I like.
Exactly.
But I can't say I got an infinite amount of podcasts I like though.
No, that's true. That's why
I got an infinite amount of artists. I can listen to their music, but infinite amount of podcasts. No, I can't really do that.
Exactly. So it takes a special person to do it, and people know who.
Yeah, people do know. People do know.
Word of mouth goes strong than any pictures or what it's always either you being talked about, whatever. You ever just be somewhere and be like, yo, man, you should check them out.
Yeah. No, that's the way it is though. People, it's always word of mouth is the biggest marketer there is. I mean, even bigger than social media in some aspects, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ty, what you think, bro? Everybody got a podcast. What you think, bro?
Yeah, I mean, just like relationships, for every trash can there's a lid. I think for every podcast, you got a listener.
Yeah.
What's that? For every trash can there's a lid, just like relationships.
For every trash can there's a lid, Ty.
He equated it to relationships, bro.
You said for every I think we all in this together, just one big melting pot where all these crazy personalities.
I've come across some podcasts, I'd be like, who's actually listening to this?
Yeah, but somebody is.
But that's my opinion on it. Like it doesn't suit me. It doesn't fit me.
But
it's somebody else.
Somebody there that he's seen in China.
Yeah.
They got 2%.
Yeah.
Somebody
listening. Somebody click that button, man.
And they listen.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I mean, but I say all that to say, like,
What's that?
I mean, they have true crime podcasts. How many true crime? How many episodes can you do about true crime?
Well, you got Law and Order,
Yep.
CSI,
Right.
CSI New York, CSI Miami, CSI Hawaii, Blue Bloods.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, all of them. Special victims
Yeah,
unit.
Special Victims Unit,
My brother.
FBI International.
My brother said podcast therapist 101. Like,
Because you had mentioned something earlier, Jimmy, when you was running over the numbers.
yeah.
In 2019, there was 300,000 podcasts.
Right.
Wow.
When the pandemic hit in 2022, it went up to 1 million.
I can raise my hand to that. The pandemic hit, I was definitely wanting to be like, Ty, let's do a podcast. that was me.
Wow.
That was definitely me. But I kept going after the pandemic.
Yeah, I was deep in it by that time.
Yeah.
That's all I had time to do was just talk. I was talking to myself. I was just, let me just put this out.
But you got good response from it though.
Yeah, man. You know, everything was at an all-time high, man. You know, it's like when I was doing it, I was getting like a lot of big like responses, man. Like, you know, people saying they was ready to off themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, you know, something triggered a trend. That's why I say, man, like, words are powerful. Like I said, even with your podcast, bro, like, you tired, like, somewhere somebody is going through something.
Yeah.
And it took somebody just to listen to somebody else that can relate. Like, you know what? I'm going to just take their perspective.
Yeah.
So we saving lives out here.
You know, believe
You know
it or not, you are. But that's why I say it's a responsibility with it.
Yeah.
Because either you're saving lives
Yeah.
or you're making people question their own.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because then you got people that's like, I'm feeling, you know, they might see something on a podcast that they might make them feel shame or make them feel bad, you know, and they might off themselves from it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I ain't gonna get into the conversation about more black men killing themselves. I ain't gonna talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying that's out there. You know what I'm saying? But even with that being said, I find it that podcasts are a medium for people to get their thoughts to others, right? And I think sometimes people get out and they want to be the hottest podcast instead of creating substance for content that's sustainable, that you can hold on to, that you can be like, you know what, I'm gonna go back and listen to that episode because that episode had me listening.
Yeah.
You
See
know,
what I'm saying? That's what you want to
episode had you listening. Like I want you listening to me when you run on the treadmill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's when you wake up in the morning. I don't need your breakfast. Take me with you to work.
Yeah.
Take me with you home. Yeah. You know, because you might need to hear what I got to say. You might be at work and feel like I need to listen to the toxic culture at work or toxic work culture podcast and be like, oh yeah, well this is I'm hitting home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it is. We do save lives, but we have to take it seriously.
Yeah.
We can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna do a podcast today and I'm gonna talk about whatever. I'm gonna talk about something ratchet or something that doesn't matter, and people gonna be like they're gonna receive it. People like ratchetness. They do.
They do. When you like the relationship podcast, if I hear one more oh my God, yo, it's like
if you hear one more relationship podcast,
oh my
what?
gosh, this the thing. No, let's
What
talk
is
about
it?
that.
What
Let's
is
talk
it?
about that. I am tired, okay, of these relationship podcasts, and people really think that it resonates. We talked about like how what resonates and what doesn't.
Yeah.
But bro, let's think about it. Let's be really honest with a relationship podcast. This does not reply to you.
No, it doesn't.
You're homeless.
Would they be on it though?
Right. Like, yeah. I'm like, bro, think about it, man. Like, people have different problems, but people crossing problems, they ain't got nothing to do with their problems. You know, because they got to check their ego first. They could be really talking bad about them. They ain't on your side. They really talking about you. You on the opposite side of the fence. Think about it. How people take in perspective. Like, think about some of y'all listeners that y'all have. Guess what? In real life, they really might not like you.
No, in real life they won't.
Right.
They won't.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
No more relationship podcasts. Stop.
No, look,
Stop.
I'm tired of the marriage podcast.
Oh.
And you know I'm divorced, so you know how I don't. It's not the way I feel about marriage. That's just what I'm like. Yo, like stop sharing your relationship with people. Like if you married, that's supposed to be off the microphone, or off the camera. You know, and you getting in front of the camera, and the whole time you talking like, oh yeah, well when we're having tough times, we decide. I don't care what you decided to do.
Right.
None of that. Nothing you're going to tell me is going to solve any of the issues I had with my marriage, because what happened in my marriage does not apply to your marriage. Period. Point blank. And I'm not going to use you as an example to fix mine. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be like, well, You know, Jenny and Tom, they was having the same issue. Let me tell you how they dealt with it. Like, no, it doesn't apply to me.
They be having podcasts like that,
bro. You know how many married couples get up and do podcasts all the time? And for me, it's like sometimes they embed God in it. Sometimes they
do that too.
Yeah, man. Yeah, sometimes it's for me, it's a broadcast of something that does not need to be broadcast.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And that's just my opinion.
No,
so if you got a marriage podcast out there, listen, don't get mad at me. I'm just saying that we don't need no more of them Jones.
We don't. You know what's bad? Because it's probably really a good one out there. And they don't speak English.
Yeah, they probably are. They probably, you want to know something crazy?
They don't speak English.
You know the biggest podcast consumers, you know who they are?
Where?
They're Swedish. They're in Sweden.
I don't even know how to talk Swedish.
Okay, I talk a little bit of Norwegian. I don't talk Swedish. So I'm
shout
just
out
saying,
to the Swedish people.
I'm just saying, bro. Like the fact of the matter is,
shout out
like it. I mean, people be like, well, if it doesn't apply to you, you don't have to listen. You don't have to watch.
Right.
Like, no, you're right. But I'm gonna just unfollow you on social media then.
Yeah, just get them out of here, man. But you hear them. You know what's funny? When you hear a relationship podcast, dude comes on. See, you have to love yourself within to come out to the front. And if you love yourself within, then you can get the counseling, then the healing, right? Because as men, which is what we do.
Yeah,
if you want her, you have to submit, my black man. You gotta submit. You be like, what?
Really?
It's bad.
Nah,
and
really.
they get all these likes and things and all that. Like, oh my god. And I be like, yo.
But listen, I mean,
he didn't say nothing.
He didn't say a thing. He didn't say one thing. He didn't say one thing. And here's the other kicker. That get on my nerves. When you have, like me and you could be talking, we could be on this podcast right now, all three of us having this conversation, right? Drop some bars, or we say drop some jewels, right?
Right.
And we have our listeners. But a couple weeks later, Big Name Bull will say the same thing. And everybody will be like, oh, I can't believe he said that. He's so smart. Or she's so smart. And be like, yo, what are y'all listening to? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just said this 2 weeks ago, and now y'all tripping. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you know what it is? Because they had a higher status, so they look at them different.
But that's my point. Just because your status is higher doesn't mean that your opinion matters more.
But they
feel doesn't.
But they feel like we equal.
We equal to what?
We're equal. They feel like we're equal. We're not where they're at. So they're gonna take their word a little bit more seriously.
What's crazy is
where they want to be at, right?
But you can't even go that way because
They do it with Steve Harvey.
They def. Ty, how they go with Steve?
Oh man, you hear Steve Harvey this morning? Man? Like, come on, man.
Oh, they be doing that. Oh yeah. Yeah. See,
they do it. They do it, man. I mean, but for me, it's like
just delivery, maybe. Maybe it's the beard.
It's the con game, man.
Bro, like
some people got a good con game. That's all.
Yo, probably when the lights go off, he probably just like really just.
Some people got a good con game.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I remember I saw him at an event, and he was like, "Well, I'm not doing too much because I ain't getting the check."
See, yeah.
I thought he was playing though.
He was dead serious.
Yeah, he was in a boat. It was in Philly. It was at the It was called. I'm not gonna mention the station's name.
Yeah,
it was a big event back in the day used to have in Philly, and he was at the pier, and I remember working for that station and seeing Steve Harvey in the boat. So I'm not doing it. I'm not getting the check, and he wove in the boat, and I'm like, man, boy, crazy, man.
Listen, bro,
they had nephew Tommy all on a go kart, like, man, it was.
But what he say? I ain't doing nothing unless I get a check, right?
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he told. That's what he said.
That's what he said. And to a lot of podcasters, that's the bottom line. If I ain't getting a check, there's no reason for me to keep doing it.
Wait a minute, this recording?
Yeah.
Well, look, Steve. Right? Look. I ain't really mean what I say. Like
what you
that,
gonna say,
right?
boy?
Look, man. Look. Shout outs to you, Steve, man.
Survey said.
Like no, I'm just joking.
Nah, I ain't joking.
No.
I'm saying like I'm tired of it, bro.
Shout out to Steve Harvey.
Like he said, I want nobody blocking nothing. I want nobody blocking nothing. But I'm just saying, like for me, podcast. Like I said, it's a privilege to do a podcast. It's a privilege. It's not something that people are like. Yeah, well, people start them joints. They start them.
They don't finish them.
Thank you.
That's why we in it for the long haul, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, if Ice Cube said it best. If you ain't in it for like 5 years and ain't make no money, then you ain't in it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? When I went to certain guests on the show or whatever, and they would just tell me, they couldn't do it. I'm like, oh, that's fine. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Because you know what? Because I feel like I'm sure if it gets where it's ever going to go,
right,
you're definitely going to want to be a part of it. You know what I mean?
That's my point, though.
Don't miss the opportunity.
Don't miss
I don't
it.
forget names
don't,
or
I don't,
people.
I don't forget none of that. And
names of people and faces.
And don't tell me no now, and in a couple of years when you see the name, now you want to come on the show.
You can't come on.
You can't come on because you
be
told me no back then.
Unless
that's the other
it's
thing.
a serious matter. If it's a real serious matter, I can really be heartfelt. I'll be like,
all right, cool, right.
Schedule.
But here's the other thing too. Yeah. Like the guests that people reach for, the people that they want to have, people pretty much this is what it is.
Okay, tell me, break it down, bro.
If I'm going to interview somebody, it behooves me to interview somebody famous.
Okay.
Right? Because guess if I interview somebody famous, then I'm going to get more views. So I'm going to fill up my interview roster with famous people, right? But you take away so much of like the realness of people, not because I'm not talking about famous people. This ain't got nothing to do with them. I like to interview people nobody knows, that nobody's heard of, or nobody cares to know. You know why? Because when they get where they going, they're going to remember this. And I'm going to remember interviewing them. And they're going to remember the interview. And I treat them the same. I treat them like they're famous already. Because why not?
You get that now.
Because my eyes, that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They can go viral like that. Today they could be sitting in their crib chilling. Tomorrow they could have $1 million just from going viral. There's a video they made 2 weeks ago.
And they remember who you is.
Yeah. That's my point. So like you can't be searching for these interviews of these people that you want to bring on your show because they have a following.
Yeah.
I don't care about their following. Because 9 out of 10, the person I interview, guess what? Might not promote my show.
You're right. So you getting those. I remember it was back in the day when I had my internet radio show.
Bro, I love him. I love interviewing people nobody knows. Yeah. I love it. Absolutely love it. Because I get to really find out who they are, what they about, where they going, what their dreams are, where they came from. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and it give them exposure early.
Early.
And it build that relationship.
Early, bro.
Ask y'all a question.
What's that?
We went from 8 tracks to cassettes to CDs. Yeah. Now everything is digital streaming, right?
Yeah, digital streaming. Shout out to digital streaming.
Like you said, the numbers on podcasting. Do y'all feel as though it's going to hit a ceiling at some point?
Yeah.
And if not, what's next after podcasting?
Yeah, bro.
What are they going? Well,
yeah, it's going to hit a ceiling. I definitely think it's going to hit a ceiling.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Well, I mean, based on even the stats that I saw, the projections are that they're going up. They're going to continue to go up. But I say that it's going to hit a ceiling because, as the title of this podcast, everybody got a podcast. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And corporations.
How do you stand out in a market where it's hard to stand out?
But till you say you don't think so.
What?
As far as not hitting the ceiling?
Nah, it's not going to hit.
Everything has a ceiling though.
Because everybody, it's going to be short-lived people. It's going to get people that just ain't going to want to do it no more. It's just going to be people that just felt like it's not for them. It's only going to it's survival of the fittest.
It is survival of the fittest.
And you have to keep coming out with this all the time.
Yeah.
Content.
Yeah.
I can't be a rapper just like, I'm going to take off and just work on this album. Chill. No. People want to hear from you all the time.
You got to put an episode out every week.
I mean,
practically.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got that kind of following, that's what it is. You don't have to do. You know what I mean?
I do every 2 months because I got to create content. You know, I just can't. I feel like if I keep going, unless you do interviews, that's different.
Interviews are always a good supplement.
Yeah, the interviews. So I don't do interviews like that, right? So I had to go into this thing where I had to like develop things. I have to be out. I have to be social. I have to live this life. You know what I mean? But when these 2 episodes come out, they're organic, and then I go out and live again, and then I come back and I tell my stories.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know,
no doubt.
But some of them all got to be making sense. Okay. It goes sometimes where I may not have anything. I have to just lay on it. But when it come out, it holds real value. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I understand that.
So some people can do that, and then some people can't, that are just a single person podcast. Because single person podcast is difficult because you're doing everything on your own. You're doing probably your own editing. You're probably doing your own, to get somebody's attention for at least 20 minutes by yourself, that is hard.
Yeah, with nobody talking back to you?
Yeah, nobody talking back to you. You gotta
nobody having a conversation with you?
You got to talk to yourself, man. Yeah. You know how many times I just woke up and just recorded talking to myself, and that was my podcast?
That's the best time to do it. You think best in the morning. You think best in the morning.
Frequencies are higher.
Yeah.
Because everything else is sleep. So your brain can function.
You want your steez. Yeah,
right.
for sure.
So sometimes you ever hear somebody say, I mean, this like 4 o'clock in the morning is the best time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when I make music. I make music at that time in the morning.
Yeah.
'Cause that's the best time to make it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when the day changes, you know? So it's kind of like you're changing at the same time.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's neither here nor there. I mean, like you said, that one person podcast is difficult because you're producing it yourself. You know, even with me and Ty, this ain't easy.
No, it ain't.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure y'all
like,
be looking at each other like,
listen,
man,
bro,
are we on the same page today?
Listen, man. Listen, I done created topics. I be like, Ty, I'm having a brain fart, bro. Like I need to get my mind right or whatever. And so me and Ty gotta have a conversation. That's why I'm like, I can jump step it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But that's where all the topics for us come from. They come from conversations. But they don't come from just. They don't come just from popping in my mind, like whatever. Like most of the topics I have is whether a conversation I have with Ty or somebody else, and then boom, there you go, you got a podcast. Shout out to Mike.
Shout out to Mike. But being a one man bandstand, it's like you really gotta go in your cubby hole. Yeah. You know.
They have podcasts on how to start a podcast.
They do. They do.
It's getting bad out here.
It is bad out here, bro. But people, you know, they got podcasts for everything.
Yeah. For everybody that's really just inspired from all the other content creators that's doing anything, I'm just gonna tell y'all, like I tell everybody, man, you gotta start. Just start. It may take you somewhere, because once you start, you never know where it can really find yourself at. You know. And you'll find out if it's for you. Because people always ask me for advice. I'm sure they ask you for advice, Jim.
Yeah, they do.
Well, how I start.
But I always give it too. And I ain't never the type of
yeah. I give it too. And I always tell them, I'm like, yo, just start it, yo. Start going within yourself. Just start doing it. That's the best teaching you can give yourself.
That's the only way you can really do it.
You just gotta start.
That's the only way you can do it. You know what I'm saying? So
you'll find out it's for you or not.
Yeah,
you know?
You sure will. Sure will. All right, Ty, go ahead, big bro. We're going to take a quick break, man. Family, remember, you can call us with your comments or questions at 215-472-0881. Again, it's 215-472-0881. You can also email us at jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. Again, it's jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. It's JIMMYBONDS podcast@gmail.com. You listen to Jimmy Bonds Podcast on WPEB Radio, FM 88.1 FM, West Philadelphia. Ty, go ahead and do your thing, brother.
Project Home. Project Home empowers adults, children, and families to break the cycle of homelessness and poverty, to alleviate the underlying causes of poverty, and to enable all of us to attain our fullest potential as individuals and as members of the broader society. They believe that working to end homelessness and poverty enhances the quality of life for everyone in our community. For more information, or if you're looking to support Project Home, or for more information, please visit their website at www.projecthome.org. This has been a public service announcement from WPEB 88.1 and 95.1 FM, West Philadelphia's Community Radio.
West Philadelphia's Community Radio. Family, we'll be right back. And welcome back to Jimmy Bonds Podcast on WPEB Radio 88.1 FM, 95.1 FM. Family, you're tuning in to Jimmy Bonds Podcast. I'm my boy Ty. My boy T, we over here talking about everybody have a podcast. Now you can say that in a different tone. You can say everybody got a podcast, right? That's more like a question. Or everybody got a podcast. More like a statement. Everybody got a podcast, bro.
Yeah, that's how it is. Everybody got a podcast.
Everybody got a podcast. But so when I say that, here's the thing. If I'm saying everybody got a podcast, does that make you want to go listen to them? If put it to now, I always related to music. Bull come talk to you, be like, yo, bro, listen to my mixtape. Do you listen?
No.
Ty, do you listen?
I'll give it a try.
Ty will give it a try. T said he ain't gonna listen.
I probably when I feel like it, not right now, maybe. And that's how most people do it.
And that's how most people do with podcasts. If I tell you I got a podcast, you gonna go listen? Are you really gonna go listen?
I'll give it a try.
If I don't, you know what? I might, yeah. Because
I ain't saying me. I'm saying in general.
What?
Just if somebody comes up with, yo, man, I got a podcast, take a listen to it. Well, you would listen to it.
Yeah, I would.
You would?
Yeah, I would listen to this. I would definitely listen.
Give it a shot.
Because you may want to see. I'm in that field.
Right.
I want to listen. See, music, I'm not really in there. I listen to when I want to because I'm a consumer. Podcast is like something I love to do. Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely going ahead and just
take a listen to
it. Take a listen to it because I may want to connect with that person too.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's real.
So it's different.
I might not listen though.
Why not?
I just might not. Not for reasons I don't want to.
Yeah, you just might not.
I just might not.
Yeah, you may not. Yeah.
So for me, I feel the same way. I tell somebody I got a podcast and they don't listen, I don't be offended.
No,
people be offended. You listen to my show. I don't care. Like
until everybody start listening to your show, then you start listening.
Yes. Because I want complete strangers to listen to my show. Although I love my family supporting, but I want complete strangers to listen to it.
Me too.
Because I want them to not know who I am. I want them to feel like I can relate to Bull. I never met Bull in my life, but I can relate to him. Like that's my feeling behind it. So, and also I don't listen because sometimes you can take in stuff that you don't need to take in.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? If it's a good podcast, if it's somebody ahead of me, I might check it out. Just to see what they're doing, but just to see what they're doing. Now I'm not trying to take their topics. I'm not trying to take how they do their intros. I don't want to really even hear what they're saying because I don't want it to influence me. Isn't that crazy?
No, you come from a competitive mind state, and it's good though because you still want to be in your positive tone. But
what makes you is what makes you.
Right.
Your niche is yours.
You don't want to feel like you're starting going into the same direction
as somebody else.
All the others.
Yeah.
All right. That's fine.
Because here's my thing, and I got to relate to music because it's my best relation. So if I'm making music and I'm listening to the same artist over and over again, I'm gonna start mimicking that. I'm gonna start. My music will start sounding similar to that, right? Because now I have engulfed myself or consumed that type of music.
So you want to stay in your creative mindset.
Exactly.
You don't want to listen to nobody.
That's just from an artist standpoint.
No.
That's not a I don't like your stuff or I don't think your stuff is good. It's just that to be original for me, I don't care if somebody else has done it already. I'd rather it be original from how we create it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. I respect that. I do that. You know what? Now that I think about
it. T, I listen to yours. I want you to think I don't listen to yours. I'm talking about
No, man. I know. Jim, even if you didn't.
No, I'm just saying. I listen to T's.
Right. No, we ain't saying that, but what I'm saying is that you're right on that perspective too, because when you're in that creative mindset, like it's a couple people that I see that like are dope, but I'm like, nah, I don't want to. Because you're in that race.
Because you in that
not in the
space.
race, but you want to be in that space where you just want to be different.
Yeah.
Because then if you start looking like everybody else,
be yourself.
You'll be like,
He's too much like this person.
Yeah, he's too much like that person.
Yeah, and then they start relating you to somebody else that you don't need to be related to.
Yeah, I got related to somebody. I was like, man, this is corny.
Who you get related to?
I don't even want to say his
Was
name.
it Jalen Brown?
No, man. That I always get that. I don't want to say. No, Bull Podcast is dope. So.
Oh, you don't want to mention? I got you.
Yeah, but I respect this podcast.
There's some dope podcasts out here though.
Yeah. But his,
even without me listening to it, they still dope.
Yeah, but his, man, it kind of like resonate with mine. You get what I'm saying?
Got you.
So it's kind of like I can't even be mad at that. You know what I mean? He probably saw my podcast somewhere. Who knows? You know what I mean? It happens. People,
it does.
Yeah, people do that, man. They look at. Either he saw it or somebody saw something inspired. You don't know who's really listening.
Yeah, you never know who's really listening.
So
bro.
It's like, this boy right here, man, like, hey, and then they run with it quick. Yeah. So then you ever hear artists say, yo, they stole my style, man.
Yeah.
Yo, I was at the convention. I remember the boy.
And the boy heard my song, right?
And we was sitting there like, yo, what you mean Bow Wow stole his stuff? What you mean?
But for real though, the way the music is nowadays, bro, they be stealing songs left and right. You gotta be careful who you do your music.
But they be dead serious. And I'm like, you really think that? I'm like, I know so. I was at that convention. I gave him the mixtape.
Yeah, it started going down the timeline. See, what happened next? And that's when you heard this single. After he heard my song, then he heard this thing. That's what happened.
He ass-capped it. You know what I'm saying? Come on. That's crazy, yo.
I mean, tell how you feel, man. Everybody got a podcast. Tell how you feel.
Listen, I can scroll through podcasts and people be sitting in their kitchens doing the podcast, you know? Mm-hmm. They out in the farm doing the podcast. Like I said it before, I mean, for every trash can there's a lid. Somebody has something for somebody out there.
They do.
Yeah.
That's real.
You know?
That's real.
This one boy had this podcast in his living room with the overhead lamp.
Yeah.
You can even see in there. He got the microphone. It's all dark. And you see the kitchen in the background, cat jumping on the table. You be like, yo, you going somewhere, bro.
You don't care, bro.
Yeah, you don't care.
That's what we started. I started in the kitchen on Zoom. What you want to do?
Yeah, what you want to do?
What you want to do? You about it or you ain't about it? Because either way, you're gonna have to just get it. You know what I'm saying? If you start, you're gonna have to dress it up. You're gonna have to make. That's the other thing people don't talk about. Podcast is not what you see on the front. Like I see all our people on live. Much love to our followers on live. We definitely appreciate you chiming in and letting us know what's good.
Yeah.
But you don't know what goes on behind the scenes when the podcast is over. You don't know what kind of work we got to put into that joint, how we got to edit that joint, how we got to promote that joint, how we got to wait for flyers, how we got to make the flyers, how we got to get the word out there on social media. It is an endless job, bro. Endless.
Endless,
it is, bro. Endless job.
It is.
And I get like on Tuesdays I got my kids, Wednesdays to go to their mama. So Tuesdays I'm sitting around like telling my kids like I'm working. And I'm not working in regular 9 to 5. I'm working on my podcast. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I'm putting the topics together. Mm-hmm. I'm doing the research. Mm-hmm. I'm figuring out what's next. Mm-hmm. What we gonna do on this date? Mm-hmm. Who we gonna bring in on this topic? You know what I'm saying? Like this is what you're thinking about. Mm-hmm. So if you're not thinking about that kind of stuff, if you're not living and breathing it, then it might not be for you.
Yeah, that's the thing. You gotta, if you like you said, living and breathing it. Some people just breathing. But they ain't it.
Yeah.
They ain't it in this
game.
game.
Ain't it, bro. I mean, this game is different, particularly. See, I don't think the competition in our community is different than the competition in other communities.
Oh, there's podcast beefs too.
Oh, there's major podcast beefs. Matter of fact, there are a lot of beefs that start on podcasts.
I'm gonna tell you what turns me off with podcasting. When people get on there and start talking about something that happened in the past. Well, yeah, I was with Tupac that night when he started to say, how come you didn't say this 20 years ago, man? Oh, yeah, me and Method, man, we was at the club and y'all don't know about this, right? How come you didn't say none of this before?
I got one better. Most recently, Rivera, the one that supposedly Jay-Z stabbed, came out and said Jay-Z ain't stabbed me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, bro, we talk about what, 20 years, 30 years later, you talking about Jay-Z ain't stabbed you now? All of a sudden now? What's that about, bro? But that's what I'm saying. Like it
can get watered down.
Oh no, I mean it could be completely watered down, lose all kind of substance, lose all kind of like because you can get we talked about this too. You can get two dudes on the show and one try to outshine each other the whole time. One boy was like, yeah, man, he trying to show his personality. The other boy trying to outshine his personality, and it becomes like just a S show. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like. It's like, bro, like, why are you competing against your mate? Like, that don't make no sense. You know what I mean? And it gets to be like that. Or you get it where when you do a show, the feedback you get back from the show, more people might like Young Bull than they like you. So now you got to think about how I'm going to change this. How I'm gonna change. It's a lot that goes into it, bro.
Yeah. It's
a lot that goes into it. It's not just, let me get up here and start talking.
I'm listening to what you're saying. And I was just thinking to myself, I believe in myself so much that I was thinking about how bad I was talking about Steve Harvey and what my apology was going to be when I met him.
Oh, put it on camera. You get a lot of clips from it.
No, just because but this is how much you think. And I'm saying all this.
No, but this is how much you think. But you're saying something right.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like you believe yourself so much. Like darn man, this probably gonna be clipped somewhere.
Yeah, bro. How many episodes they gonna go back and clip us for what we said?
Yeah.
Huh? How many? People don't even know the stuff we have said.
I'm sure
the stuff we have said probably has offended a lot of people. I'm talking about Black Lives Matter to NAACP to all of that. Like we have probably offended a whole group of people. Probably won't even want to work with us. But you know what? I don't care.
How come they don't have a podcast, man?
Who?
NAACP.
Because they don't need one.
I don't need one, man.
Black Caucus.
They don't need one.
But
the politicians got podcasts too. So
I got another donation going.
You know what I'm saying? That's another way for them to do campaigning and fundraising.
No, y'all bait me right in there, man. Listen, man.
Listen, bro. I mean, look, man.
Hey, yo,
look, man. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Ty telling the truth.
Ty like, so go segue. Hey, why the WPEB got a pocket? I'm like, oh yeah, you know what?
You know why? You know what, Ty? Who gonna listen to him?
Yeah, that's true.
Who gonna listen to him, Ty?
Yeah, you're probably right.
Would you listen to him?
Who?
NAACP if they had a podcast. Would you listen to it?
No, I would not.
They probably do have one, but I'm not listening to it.
Right.
Same thing with Black Lives Matter. I'm not listening to it.
Yeah.
And that, that might sound really bad because people love Black Lives Matter, the movement, and what it was and what it represented and everything. But I just don't agree with that. So, that's the kind of stuff we attack on our podcast. That's the kind of stuff that we tackle. And for people that don't know, we created Jimmy Bond's podcast to challenge social norms and artistic views. Okay? That's why we started it. I wanted to challenge the norms. Me and Ty felt like people just go along with the flow. And I thought it'd be best not to have the flow done no more because that's what's messing us up. We got to challenge what we're seeing because what we're seeing is not real. What we're seeing is propaganda. Period. Point blank, nothing else left said. What we see on a regular basis is propaganda. It's a promotion. You know what I mean? Yeah. So at the end of the day, you start feeling like why should I even focus on that? You know what I mean? Why should I focus on those things? But anyway, I still like to say, so everybody got a podcast, Ty. Everybody got one. I got one. Terrance got one. You got one. My man down the street probably got one. Probably my man thinking about starting one. My
man Petey Pete, he got one.
You see? I mean, think about it, dog. Everybody got I know so many people that have podcasts. Yeah. You know what I mean? My girl, shout out to Tish Scott. She just started a podcast. She co-hosting.
She started?
She started one. She co-hosting. So shout out to my girl Tish Scott. Appreciate you. So she got a podcast now. But she, what she said though, was that it sparked from us interviewing her. You know what I mean?
There you go.
So that's my thing. It's not that I love the fact that if we're able to push people to do something that they want to do or something that they wanted to try, I think that's important. You know what I mean? It's not important if you're not inspiring anybody. That's the way I feel. Or if I'm not challenging you. If I'm challenging you, then boom, let's get it. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, let's get it. Because I'm always up for a good debate. Let's debate it if I'm challenging you. Yeah. But if I'm not challenging you or I'm not uplifting you, I'm not doing my job.
That's facts, man. That's really
Period.
Facts, man.
My thing is, I don't know. I can't figure it out, but there's something coming after podcast. I don't know if it's going to transform into something else.
Yeah.
Everybody got a TV show.
But that's what they're segueing into that.
To TV.
Pretty much TV. But now it's not TV. You have channels. You have your YouTube channels. Right. That's the thing now.
I mean, they have podcasting like Hulu, stuff like that?
Not really, no. Podcasting is really going through. But what they turn into is talk shows. Right. You talk about my man Pat from
McAfee.
Pat McAfee.
Right.
He apparently lost a lot of money going over ESPN, but he had his podcast, the Pat McAfee show. I mean, everybody loved that joint. I loved it. So what does he have now? He has a TV show on ESPN. He's going to start in the fall. You know what I'm saying? That's his show. That's what people going to follow. People want to watch. He's created that brand. That's the brand he's created. That's what people want. They're going. And so that's what it is. People become podcasters to, I guess, become a personality and elevate what they're doing. You know what I mean? I mean, you can even take us for example, Ty. We started out on Zoom. We went to StreamYard. Now we on FM radio.
It's dope.
So I mean, it's the levels of the thing that you want to expand what you're doing. You want to keep moving and do stronger. But I always say that it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And something you said before about wanting to know or take the steps into it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta start from somewhere. Yeah. You can't just be like, well, I'm gonna just do a podcast and this is what I'm gonna do. And it doesn't evolve as time goes on. Yeah. You know what I mean? What we did back in 2020 ain't gonna be relevant in 2023. Right. It's just not. The topics of the show will, but how we communicate and get our word out there probably ain't gonna be. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? All in all, like, for me, that's a big deal because I think podcasting is the future.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I think it's the future. It's the future and the present at the same time. And I think the more that we realize what we're doing, the power that we have with these podcasts and the substance and the content we create, I think if we take more responsibility with it, it'll have a bigger impact. That's just my opinion. That's just my feeling. See how you feel, man. Everybody got a podcast. What's your last word?
I just want people to be creative to the art, man. Just, really, really, really do it because you really feel like you can make an impact. Just don't do it because it's a fad. Do it because you really love it. Because it's important. Somebody out there really listening to you, really believing you.
Yeah,
they don't know you.
That's real.
So that just remember that. Just being a podcaster, that somebody out there that don't know you believes in you, really believe what you're saying. So
Yeah.
do the responsible thing.
Ty, how you feel?
I have no problems with podcasting except for disinformation.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of
love
that,
right there.
I'm fine with podcasting. It's the disinformation that bothers me.
That's real. There's a lot of disinformation out there. I mean, I guess if you got an opinion and you believe what you believe, it could be disinformation.
Drink this, you'll last all night long.
That's disinformation.
Chew this, you'll run faster.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Disinformation.
Disinformation. I feel you on that one. I definitely feel you on that one. Well, you know, for me, everybody got a podcast. And as I've said before in this show, like, you got to know what you want. If you just starting a podcast, you think it's a good idea, then that's one thing. But if you get starting a podcast because you want to help people, you want to improve lives, you want to infiltrate people's psyche, make them think differently about themselves, make them challenge more about what they think about themselves, not to degrade them or put them down, but more in actuality uplift them, you know, to take them out of dry places, as my mom would say, because you're taking them, you're changing their mindset, you're making them think differently about how people live their lives. For me, that's what's most important. Yeah, so everybody should have a podcast if your goal is to change what people believe and how they go about it. You know what I mean? I always feel like people don't feel like their views are heard. So if you need to get your opinion out there, do it constructively. Get it out there. You know what I mean? You don't have to be ratchet, don't have to be whatever. Just get it out there, let people listen to it. See what people think about your opinion.
Facts.
You know, can construct that joint. Do your job. Like, you know, this is, as much as people don't like journalism, this is the basis of journalism.
It is.
As much as people don't like the media, as much as you hear podcasters talking about I hate the media, this is media. You know what I'm saying?
Media.
This is media. You're in the media field once you get behind this microphone. So I appreciate every bit of what we do. I appreciate how we go. I appreciate the listeners. I appreciate the followers. I appreciate all of our fans. Listen, everybody tuned in on live tonight. I appreciate you. You've definitely given us all the love and the support to keep us moving. Family, we're gonna wrap the show right now. We're coming up on our end of our segments. But, you know, as I always say with each and every show, we thank y'all for listening. We thank y'all for continuing to support us. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Jimmy Bonds Podcast. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Podcast Bonds. Join the Jimmy Bonds Podcast Facebook group. Let's continue to open our dialogue. And please, 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 let's spread love, not hate. Let's spread truth, not lies. And always, always, always tell the people that you see, you don't see. Make sure you tell them you love them, because you never know when you might get another chance. Brother T, go ahead and plug your socials, brother, so people can know where to follow you.
Yeah. Make sure you follow me, Terrance29 on my Instagram. My name, TERRANCE 29. That's my Instagram. Also, check me out, the Terrance Henry Experience. You can look me up on Apple, Google. You can look me up on iHeart, and you can look me up on Spotify. You can also listen on my YouTube as well, the Terrance Henry Experience.
It's a great show, family. Terrance Henry Experience. Make sure you check it out. My man is doing his thing. Over 100 episodes. You want to hear what he has to say. He definitely got a lot to say. But, fam, listen, man, I can't thank y'all enough for tuning in. WPEB 88.1 FM, 95.1 FM, West Philadelphia. Family, we thank y'all for listening each and every week. We will be back next week, Wednesday this time, 8 to 10, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And I'm going to tell you, if you're an independent artist out there and you want your music to be heard, please send it clean. Please send it to us. You can email it to us, jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. Again, jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. Also, you can also get it on our digital radio station, illadelphiaradio.com. So, family, make sure you check us out. Do your thing. You can check out all the Jimmy Bonds podcasts on all platforms, all podcast platforms, and Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, all that good stuff. Check us out. Jimmy Bonds Podcast is all you got to type in. You'll hear all of our shows, all the ones we did previously, the ones we're working on now. So, family, we definitely appreciate you. We're going to wrap the show right now. Remember to always give us a call, 215-472-0881. Again, it's 215-472-0881. You're listening to Jimmy Bonds Podcast on WPEB 88.1 FM, 95.1 FM, West Philly. Y'all have a great night. Much love to you. Let's spread love, not hate. Spread truth, not lies. And we'll be back next week. Holla at you. Peace.
Yeah.